Hello, I'm Clark Crawford, and welcome to Clark Crawford Sports. And today I have a special episode for you, as not only is it my Super Bowl preview, along with my game pick, but also I have a special guest on my channel, and that's my brother Cameron Crawford to help me preview, and also he'll be making his game pick as well. I'm throwing everyone a curveball here in this edition of Clark Crawford Sports, as baseball is right around the corner, which I will have plenty of baseball talk coming up. But for now, let's talk about the upcoming Super Bowl matchup between the Kansas City Chiefs and San Francisco 49ers. But before that, subscribe to my channel and let's get started. All right, Cameron. So this is a Super Bowl 54 rematch between the Chiefs and 49ers, obviously. And the 49ers in the previous game are going from Jimmy Garoppolo to Brock Purdy as their quarterback. And also, they've upgraded Christian McCaffrey at running back from Raheem Mostert. And Kansas City has no Tyreek Hill. So, what are your thoughts on the matchup of how both teams got to this point? And who do you think had the tougher path to the Super Bowl?
Everybody wants to say the Chiefs had the tougher pass just because, they played the Bills and the Ravens and the Dolphins. They played three games instead of two. Let's face it, the Dolphins are not a playoff team. They're not. Two is not that good. The Bills always choke in the playoffs. And face it, they played Lamar Jackson, who's a running back. 49ers, on the other hand, they played a very underrated Packers team who killed the Cowboys and a very underrated Lions team who everybody wanted to see in the Super Bowl. So I'm going to go 49ers.
Reasonable points you had. I think just because the I think in my opinion the Chiefs technically had the tougher path because they played the two road games and they had to play the extra game, but I'll put it this way, the 49ers made it tougher on themselves because they played two quality teams, and also they made it tougher on themselves by falling behind in both of the games because they did themselves no favors because their defense in the first half of both games got shredded. So for them to have any chance, I believe, against Kansas City, who in this day and age, in the last 5 years, is the powerhouse, the Goliath of football, they're going to have to not necessarily jump out to an early deficit, but definitely if they go down like they did in their previous game, 24-7 at halftime, they're not coming back to win against Kansas City. I think we can both agree on that.
Yeah.
So my next point coming into the preview is, in your mind, is Brock Purdy just a Kyle Shanahan system quarterback, or do you see as Brock Purdy the real deal? Could he excel in another kind of offense?
Oh, like I told you before, Brock Purdy's a real deal. He's not just a system quarterback. I saw him play twice in Waco when Iowa State was here playing Baylor, and he tore them to shreds. He's just a system quarterback. I'm surprised he actually fell to Mr. Irrelevant in the draft. Personally, I thought he should have been a third or fourth round pick.
Yeah, I agree. Brock Purdy, I see him more than just a system quarterback, but I only bring it up because there's a lot of questions about it. And Brock Purdy, a lot of people, he gets a lot of hate, and I really don't understand why. So that's why I bring it up. But hey, it's okay. He's here to this point, and I think he's proving his doubters wrong. I have my X factors down. Who are your X factors for the game? One for Kansas City, or you can give me multiple, and one or multiple for San Francisco.
I'd say for Kansas City, it's probably the linebacking core, because if they can shut down McCaffrey and Debo Samuel, then San Francisco's in trouble right off the bat, and I think they will. For the 49ers, I'd say it's definitely the defensive line, because if they get pressure on Mahomes, the Chiefs are going to be in a little bit of trouble, but also Mahomes has the ability to make plays with his legs. But if they don't get any pressure, the Chiefs will win this game handily.
I'm going to go with for Kansas City. For me, it's Rashee Rice. He's come along, and he's come a long way from the start of the year where he was a non-factor, and then right about mid-season, week 8, 9, 10, somewhere right in there, he's really come along. So for me, can Rashee Rice continue to repeat it? And like I said, he's come a long way. But if the 49ers shut him down, my biggest question is, can Mahomes really rely on Marquez Valdez Scantling, who's come a long way in the playoffs, but I still don't think you can rely on him. I know he's had a couple of nice games, not the big gaudy stats, but if you shut down Rashee Rice and just let Kelsey have his 8 catches for 100 yards, I think that does wonders for the 49ers defense and having a chance to win. And then for the 49ers side, I'm going to take Fred Warner. If they can shut down Pacheco, and even if Pacheco catches a couple passes and doesn't really do much with them, I think he's the key to their defense. The 49ers have struggled against the run for a lot of the year. So if Kansas City can get hot in the run game early and Fred Warner's a non factor, it's going to open everything up. And I could see Kansas City going from, let's say they take a early lead and controlling the game. So that's how I see this going as my two X factors. Next up, I have for Kansas City's side. If you're Kansas City, they had a little bit of success running the ball against Baltimore. Pacheco did well, but would you do the same against the 49ers defense, who Niners are the 15th ranked run defense on the season? And I would say they're vulnerable against the run this year. Or do you take the approach of let Mahomes sling it around the yard early and just try to find Travis Kelce to get an early lead? How do you see the Chiefs trying to attack the 49ers defense?
Um, it depends what kind of looks they're going to get early in the game, because obviously you want to try to establish the run, but at the same time, if it's not working early, maybe you try a trick play or two to open up things for the offense, or you just keep dumping it off to Kelce or Rashee Rice on some little quick passes, and then it opens things up in the run game. So I mean, it just depends what their offensive coordinator and Mahomes see early on in the game to see how they'll approach it.
Yeah, I agree. The dink and dunk system worked really well against a tough Baltimore defense. I mean, Baltimore had a top five defense for most of the league, and Mahomes didn't put up 300 yards in either playoff game, but he was effective and efficient, and that really helped drive Kansas City to both of their win or two out of their three wins so far in the playoffs here. And so the San Francisco side of things, if they can't establish the run early, I know Brock Purdy's already had to lead two comebacks, and obviously he leaned heavy on Christian McCaffrey to do so. But how do you see things shaking out? And can Brock Purdy lead a third comeback if they fall behind early in the game? And can you rely on him? I know you said you don't think he's a system quarterback, but this is a Kansas City defense. I think this is the best defense he's faced all postseason.
See, everybody's been saying all year that this is the best defense Mahomes has had in this era that he's been there in Kansas City. If they shut down the run game early, the 49ers are going to be in deep trouble. I don't see them making a comeback for a third time. I just don't. Like I said, the Chiefs linebacking core is going to be the key. If they can shut down McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel, then Brock Purdy's in deep trouble.
I,
And
I
that'll
think
open up everything for Kansas City's defensive line to feast on it.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. If I would say if San Francisco falls behind by more than 10 points, I think they're in deep trouble just because Kansas City's defense, as much as people want to talk about the 49ers' recent defenses, I think Kansas City's defense from a casual fan doesn't get as much attention as they should. I mean, they still have Chris Jones as their defensive tackle, which hopefully for Kansas City fans, he stays after this season as he's a free agent. But they also have linebackers of Nick Bolton and former Texan, as we're Texan fans talking about this, Justin Reed. And they also have shutdown corner L'Jarius Sneed. I mean, it's an underrated defense. Kansas City Chiefs team, a lot of people like to talk about it. And this is the Chiefs, obviously, fourth Super Bowl in the past 5 years. So I wanted to make the point to you, another, I would say, good football mind of if Kansas City wins their third title in four appearances. I know people like to mention the word dynasty all the time. Would you consider this version of the Chiefs a dynasty, or is this they need to win more to be considered a dynasty? What are your thoughts?
I would already call it a dynasty. Two Super Bowls in 3 years, and this is their fourth in 5 years. I would already call it a dynasty. I mean, really, the person you can kind of credit this to is Tom Brady, because Mahomes made it his mission to beat the man, and he finally did. And now they've taken off, and of course Brady's gone now, so it's going to be up to someone else in the league to kind of try to take them down. But right now, they're looking like the new Patriots of what the Patriots used to be.
Okay, I like your thoughts. So you consider two rings in any sport a dynasty already. I'm
And
kind
just
of on
like
the
the Astros now, dynasty.
really on the fence of does it take a third or not. But you raised some valid points of, the Astros have won a couple rings and talking baseball real quick, they've made 7 straight ALCSs. So I mean, I would definitely call that a
And like I
dynasty.
said,
So
this is six straight AFC championships for the Chiefs this year.
yeah, so there's a lot of arguments to both sides, but I think I would lean towards calling the Chiefs a dynasty already. But if they get a third ring in 4 tries, that's elite level status right there. So with everything we've talked about so far, all right, Cameron, we've hit on a bunch of impactful points. We've given the X factors. We've talked a little bit about the Super Bowl 54 rematch, and now it's Super Bowl 58. Kind of given a game plan of how both teams should attack the other one's defense. Now it's time. Make your pick. Who's going to win the game and why?
I'm gonna ride with the Chiefs on this one. I think their defense is too good, and it's gonna shut down San Francisco just enough to be able to let the offense pull away. Like I've told you all postseason, you just can't bet against Patrick Mahomes right now. I think we're gonna have a similar score to what we had 3 years ago, 4 years ago when they played. I think we're looking somewhere in the neighborhood of like 31-16. I know 3 or 4 years ago it was 31-20. I'm going 31-16 this year.
You've made your pick, so I'm going to go with mine. I know we've talked a little bit, and most people watching may not know, but I think I'm with you. For people who've seen my previous videos, go back and watch them. I would highly encourage it. I picked against Mahomes against Buffalo. I was wrong. I picked against Mahomes against Baltimore. I was wrong. Third time's a charm, but at the same time, I'm going to take Kansas City as well. They seem to be clicking on all cylinders. I have no idea what happened in the regular season, why they went 11-6 with Patrick Mahomes, and why he had a ton of struggles. I don't know, but I'm taking Patrick Mahomes as well. I'm going to go 27-17 Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes is, like you said, you don't bet against him in the playoffs, and he keeps proving me wrong, especially in the playoffs. So it's hard not to pick against Kansas City. Though if the 49ers do win, I also wouldn't be surprised because, like I mentioned, they have upgraded their roster, at least in my opinion, a little bit more than Kansas City has from the previous Super Bowl. But at the same time, Kansas City, they still have most of the elite players they had back then, and they've also upgraded. But the 49ers needed to make more upgrades to get back to this point. As I was saying, they have made the upgrades. So I'm going to take Kansas City, and I think we're here on the same page for this special edition of Clark Crawford Sports with my brother Cameron. I know I'll have him on here in the future. You, as a fan of my channel, to see him on a little more often, and we can possibly make that happen. But for now, I'm going to sign off. And for Clark at Clark Crawford Sports, this is going to be my Super Bowl edition of the Super Bowl 58. And for at and for that, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see y'all next time. Thank you again,
Peace.
Cameron.